Welcome to the yoga practice that we're starting in the supine position on the back, and we're using the folded towel or small blanket that we are placing just on the center of your mid back, exactly on the line of the shoulder blades, going over this blanket, keeping the legs comfortably wide apart, ideally straight legs, not the bent knees. And then you are welcome to play with the position of the arms. Some would like maybe to go into Y position. For some it will be just too intense in the shoulder area, so it could be OT or just having arms resting on the side. So make sure that you're placing the back of your head comfortably, so you're not compressing the back of the neck. You might want to elevate the head if needed, but you feel like the front of the neck is stretched as well. So in our functional movements during the day, we're not very often opening this area of thoracic spine in this extension position. So it's all new for the body. It might be a little bit uncomfortable, or you feel a little bit anxious to suddenly expose the front of the body. But it's in a very gentle and supportive way. So take a couple of moments to settle in this position, and then we'll as usual, we'll start the practice with a breathing exercise. And today, on inhale, you will focus on expansion of the chest, expansion of the rib cage. Feeling a little bit of a stretch sensation on the whole front of the body. And on exhale, just relax and allow the back of your body be grounded. If you feel your shoulders are really holding you from this extension of the upper back, work a little bit with external rotation of the shoulders, play with the arm position. The position of the arms could add extra to this back bend, could add extra to the frontal line stretch. We'll have here maybe another minute this way. You might start feeling how the lower back responds to this extension, as because we elevated from the floor, your lower back will be extended as well. So just make sure you're not tensing the lower back. We'll discuss the sensation in the lower back in the back bends just a little bit later. But we slowly prepare our nervous system to get us into extension, to get it into the exposure and stretch of the front of the body, that you can guess we will be practicing in a different way, more intense way, shortly after the warm-up. So taking the last 5 breaths here. Try to relax as much as possible over the blanket or towel that you use to elevate the chest. You might start feeling a little bit more intensity of the blanket pressing your chest up toward the ceiling. And then we'll bend the knees and roll to one side just to remove the towel, so you can remove the towel away and return back into the supine position, taking the arms on the sides of the hips. And as you're coming with your spine in a horizontal position without elevation, just notice how you still feel that you are opening the shoulders and keeping chest open. You might feel suddenly you created a little bit of a space in the frontal area. And then let's bring one knee at a time to the chest and rock from side to side just to warm up, massage the lower back. You can go into the circular movement, one direction and the other direction. And then extend the left leg. You can hold the right knee with a hand and just go in a circular movement with the knee to open up and warm up the hips. So you can go across the body and then open a knee to the side and go maybe 3, 5, one direction with a circular movement, and then change the direction and go opposite. Feel a little bit of the tissues around the hips stretching, and just allow to lubricate the joint for the more intense stretches, more intense hip opening. And then we'll again bring both feet down to the floor, readjust the hips, and then bend the left knee and extend the right leg. Have a moment here and a bit of a compression of the thigh to the rib cage, and then we'll continue with a similar circular movement of the knee just to open up the hip. You can go as big as you feel it, maybe a little bit of a twist, but not too much twisting when the knee goes across the body. And at the same time, changing the direction, going here, feel some inner thigh stretch, some glute stretch maybe, and then we'll bring the both feet down to the floor. So coming to preparation for the bridge, right? So your heels are under the knees, and let's just warm up the lumbar spine with a pelvic tilt. So without lifting the hips, so send your pubic bone up toward the ceiling, engage the abdomen, feel stretch in the lower back, and then as you exhale, allowing the pelvis to turn back to neutral, you feel space under the lower back. So go maybe 3, 5 movements here. So just bring in your connection to the pelvis area, as it's also very important to understand how we position in pelvis in a neutral, in a flexion, in extension. And with the next time, as you start lifting your pubic bone, you will lift your hips off the floor, and you will try to go as high as possible. This time, try maybe to take the mid back of the floor, squeezing the shoulder blades, finding how the glutes assisting you to go into the spinal extension. You might feel some stretch in your quads and hip flexors, and then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, bring the hips down to the floor. Exhale. Let's do it 2 more times. So start with a pelvic tilt. So this is a flexed position, and then you go into the extension of the spine as high as you're able to get. Just feeling how the whole back of your body, all the muscles of the back of your body need to work to lift your torso off the floor, and then very slowly come back down. Exhale. Take another exhale to rest, and then one more time, starting with the pubic bone. Lift the hips up and squeeze the shoulder blades, having the arms on the floor. Just feeling all those work of the posterior chain. Hamstring might be talking to you now. And then very slowly come down. Again, take a rest. And then from here, bring your knees to your chest and rocking from the head to the hips till you're ready to roll into the seated position, and then come into the tabletop position. where we will continue to warm up the spine, preparing for the more intense movement. So let us, from the tabletop position, start with the cat stretch. And let's hold the cat stretch for a couple of breaths, sending the crown of the head to the space between the hands, tucking the tailbone, pulling the belly in, just feeling stretch all the way from the neck to the tailbone. And then very slowly go back into the dog stretch. This time feeling the opening of the chest. Again, a bit more intense stretch on the front of the neck. And then allow yourself to move with your breath from one position to another, but trying to go as slow as possible. So going one vertebra at a time. Connecting the breath and the movement, exploring the spinal mobility, maybe finding some areas of the spine that feels a little bit tight, or you're not fully connecting to them. They like leave on their own. And notice how the spine connected to the hips, how movements of the hips, how movement of the shoulder blades all comes together in this movement. And then come to neutral position. Walk your hands to the knees, tuck your toes, lift your knees off the floor, and then just drop the heels so you are finding yourself on the back of your mat. Set your feet hip distance. Allow the head to be dropped down. You can keep your knees bent. You might feel a lot of a tightness on the back of your legs. Shake your head. So to let the head be dropped down is not very comfortable for our nervous system. So just take a moment to allow some stretch along the spine, and then slowly vertebra by vertebra, let's unfold into standing. So you go slowly till you feel that you can open your shoulders and lift your chin. The chin comes the last, and you come into standing position. Taking the moment here, and we'll come to the couple of fold forward and others roll up back to continue to warm up the spine. So with inhale, lift the arms up, and then hinging from the hips, coming into the deep and passive fold, making sure that the body weight distributed equally from the heels to the toes, and you feel stretch on the back of your legs, sending the tailbone up. And then let's slowly, again, as slow as you can, roll up. So there's a moment when it feels like you're handing over imaginary ball, and then you go a little bit higher, still handing over this ball. So trying to be rounded passively with the spine, and then as you come almost up, you feel like your shoulders are turned forward, so internal rotation. Externally rotate the shoulders, activate the mid-back, and then lift your chin up. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, and hinging from the hips all the way down. Exhale, drop the head, and then very slowly, a vertebra by vertebra, come up, tucking the tailbone under, rolling up into the standing position, and exhale. Take a moment here, keeping the chest open. So remember how we were on the towel in the beginning of the practice, that we have this open chest sensation, but the difference here in standing, that we need to maintain neutral pelvis position. So make sure that you engage in the abdomen muscles to maintain that. Let's go to a bit bigger moves with inhale, lifting the arms up, and then exhale, folding forward all the way down. Then look forward and walk with your hands into the plank. And when you reach into the plank, drop the knees down and then find your way all the way down to the floor. Let us set the hands on the corners of the mat, almost cactus pose. Have your relaxed legs. I want you to, for the first one, to be really relaxed on the lower back, and then just lift your torso to the area that it feels okay. But with a relaxed lower back, I want you a lower part of the body. You feel like you jam in your lower back here, right? And then let's come down, exhale. So let us now engage the legs, engage the glutes. Even think of a belly button pulled into the off the mat, and then start lifting yourself again. And feel like you're creating controlled arch of your spine here. And as you lift it to the maximum, you don't need to go as high as I'm demonstrating here. Think of pulling the belly button off the floor even more, and feel how that creates support for this lower back extension. And then exhale, come all the way down. Let's now bring the hands on the sides of the rib cage, press the hips all the way back into the child pose. Make it taking that child pose with the wide knees, stretching the arms and bringing the forehead down to the floor. So for some of you here, you might feel even the little bit of extension if you're in your thoracic spine as you're pressing the shoulders down to the floor. Exhale. Taking another exhale, and then coming into the tabletop position to have a chance to step the right foot forward and lifting the torso up. So you are in a 90-90 lunge with a neutral spine position, taking the arms into the cactus pose, and we'll go into a couple of twists to the right. So as you're twisting, make sure that you're not allowing the left hip to go with you, and you're not just moving your arms. You are in plane with your forearms and head, and you rotate the torso over the hips. Then our next exhale, bring the hands down to the floor, tuck the left toes, and step into the downward dog. So that's the first downward dog. So play with the distance between feet and hands, and make sure that you position in your palms perfectly with the middle finger straight forward. Here you might feel again stretching the shoulders. So we prepare the upper back to be in the downward dog here. So ideally you have your ears aligned with your arms, and let's drop the knees down to the floor. Stepping the left foot forward, lifting the torso up, maintaining neutral spine, taking the arms into the cactus pose, and go into a couple of twists. Couple of twists again. Try not to move just your arms and not moving your right hip. So hips are facing front. You rotate in the shoulders, and then unfold. Bring the hands on the floor, tuck the right toes, step into downward dog again. You can keep your knees as bent as needed, because the most important is to create the spinal traction here. Take an exhale, and then walk your hands to your feet, so you are returning to the back of your mat. Hand in here for the moment, and then very slowly, vertebra by vertebra, let's roll up into standing position. Exhale. So take in the breath. We were in the head down for a moment, and let's do it again. Inhale, lift the arms up. Hinging from the hips. Exhale, folding. Looking forward and walking into the plank. And then we'll drop the knees and step the right foot forward. This time we're coming into the low lunge with a distance, the maximum distance between the front foot and the back knee. And we are here opening the hips. Feel here the stretch in the left thigh, and then bring the hands to your knee And then we'll bring the both hands to the lower back to support, and we'll just bring the gaze up toward the ceiling. You don't need to go into back bend, you don't need to jump your lower back. Just open the chest and look up with support of your lower back with the hands. Roll the shoulders back. Think like you're pressing the chest up toward the ceiling, feeling extra stretch in the left hip flexor. On exhale, let's bring the hands down to the floor, tap the left toe, and step into downward dog. Exhale. So downward dog every time will be the contour pose of the back bends we're practicing. Dropping the knees down to the floor, stepping the left foot forward. First finding the comfortable position for the back knee. Bringing the hands to the side. Again, going into the a bit of a stretch here, then bring the hands on the lower back, and we'll just practice this back bend lunge with exposure of the chest up, with some stretch on the front of the neck, but we support in the lower back, so we're not jamming the lower back. It's opposite. It's like you're pressing the tailbone down toward the floor, trying to open this area. Then bring the hands down to the floor, tap the toes, and step into downward dog. Exhale. Long spine, head between the arms. Taking the breath here. And then just come into plank. So you might slide your feet a little bit away. Drop the knees and find your way all the way down on the belly. This time we're coming into the cactus pose. So your forearms probably a little bit wider than your mat. We're right away engaging the legs. We're lifting the face off the floor, and we're lifting the forearms off the floor. Head between the forearms, and you're pressing the forearms up, squeezing the shoulder blades, but don't tense the neck, don't lift your chin, maintain neck neutral. You don't need to go high. You want to activate all the posterior chain muscles to create extension of the spine. Exhale down, bring the hands to the sides of the rib cage, and press yourself maybe in a moment in the cat stretch, and then tap the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Taking the breath here, stretching hamstrings, allowing the spine to rest from the extension, and then walk your hands to the feet. Feet are hip distance, head is down. Nice stretch on the back of the body, and then slowly vertebra by vertebra come up into standing position. Exhale. You can stay at home on the back of your mat. I'm just coming to the center, to be on the center of your screens, and we'll bring the hands to the lower back. So before we're going to go into standing back bend, I want you to find your strong glutes. So strong engagement to support, very similar to what we did on the belly line position. And then start pressing the hips forward like you did in the lunges to open a little bit of the hip flexors. And then think of the hook attached to your chest that pulls the chest up. Roll the shoulders back, but don't drop your head back. Think that you have a shelf that you put the back of the skull, and create here the back bend in a comfortable way. It might be very challenging, so don't press the chin down to the chest though. You're lifting the chin a little bit higher, but not too high. Yeah, just to feel comfortable. And let's rest, return back into the neutral position. This time we'll have just the left hand on the lower back, so bring it on the center. You start with the squeezing the glutes, pressing the hips forward. This time we're going to take the right arm up, but don't want it to go too far. So first start reaching to the ceiling, align the ear and the arm, and then progress. But as you progress, you shouldn't feel like you're jamming your lower back. You think of going into back bend and stretching the spine. So use this arm to just reach up and then back, reach up and then back. And let's release the arm just to have a moment here in the standing position. We'll go to the other side. Bring the right hand to your lower back. Engage the glutes. Push the hips slightly forward. Feel a little bit of a stretch in the quad. Lift your left arm up and then reach up and go back. So creating the arch here. Reach up and go back. Reach up and go back. Feeling some shoulder opening. And then a release back. Exhale. Take a moment here, and then we'll step again. If you were in the middle of the mat or on the front, return back to the back. We're going to go into next flow. With the inhale, lift the arms up. Hinging from the hips, we're going to have a moment here, like an extra counter pose for the back bends that we practice. Look forward and walk into the plank. Hold the plank with a strong resistance to the gravity, then drop the knees and come all the way down. Exhale. This time we go in traditional cobra, having the hands on the sides of the rib cage, but still having strong legs, lifting the chest off the floor. So we just practice this position in standing, right? So here you want to create the same sensation of the length in the posterior chain rather than jamming the lower back or neck. Tug the toes, push yourself off the mat and come into the downward dog. Exhale, long spine. On next inhale, step your left foot a little bit closer to the midline. For support, step your right foot forward into lunge. That could be a long lunge. Lift your torso up. Take a moment to find your back leg supporting you. Keep your hips square to the front and take your arms wide up and bring your gaze up toward the ceiling. And here we'll try to go into a little bit of the extension. But again, it's all sensations of the lifting up and then going backward. Lifting up and then going backward. Try to open the shoulders the way that it feels comfortable. Use the back leg for support. So here's only one leg that gives you support for the lumbar spine. Bring the hands on the floor and step into downward dog. Exhale. Head between the arms. On next inhale, step in the right foot closer to the midline. Step your left foot forward. Finding the back leg support and lifting the torso up. Grounding yourself. Lifting the arms up again. Finding this crescent warrior with extra stretch for the right quad, hip flexor, with opening the chest, with open shoulders. You don't lose the front knee. The front knee should be 90 degrees as well. And back leg is straight if you can. Bring the hands down to the floor and step into downward dog. Exhale. Long spine. Then look to your toes. Walk to your feet. Hang here for the moment. And then slide your hands probably a little bit higher than the knees or the knees. You maintain your neutral spine. So you're not into extension. So get your pelvis neutral here. And then just bring your feet a little bit closer. So a little bit closer, but not together. So your inner thighs are working here to control the knees. Bring the left hand against the right knee. Bring the right hand to your lower back and twist. So make sure that you're not going with the left shoulder to the right. If you have a line on your mat, you should have your left shoulder above the mat. You should have your left ear above the mat. Crown of the head goes straight forward. And your hips are locked with this position. So the twist happening in the upper body only. Exhale, return back to the center. Recheck that you are not extending your lower back. Bring the right hand against the left knee. Try to keep your knees aligned. Left hand on the lower back, twist to the left. And try to be on the midline of the mat. So you're going to turn with the head toward the camera. So you're not going here. You're not letting one knee to be bent more than the other. You want to maintain straight position, straight alignment on the midline, and rotate the shoulders. And then exhale, come back to the center, reset yourself, and then come all the way up into standing position. Exhale, take a break here. And let us practice the tree pose. So just, we're gonna hold that in a straight position. We're resting from the manipulation of the spine. Bring the body weight to the left foot and bring your right foot anywhere where you feel is appropriate for you. And stabilize your left hip, bring the hands in front of the chest, and let's hold that. And let's release. Shake your legs and bring the body to the right foot. Stabilize your right hip here. Find where you want to practice with the left foot. Bring the hands in front of the chest. And try to maintain hips and shoulders aligned as the four corners. And let's release. So for next one, if you have a bit of a difficulties to hold the balance, you're welcome to use the wall or chair to support. We'll bring the body weight to the left foot. We'll bend the right knee and reach to the right ankle. Ideally, you want to have your palm open and place the ankle on the top of your palm. Bring the knees together. Take your left arm up. So that might be the pose where you will be practicing today. Feel external rotation of the right shoulder. If you want to progress, you have your strong left leg, so don't lock your knee, and start pressing the right foot into the palm to open the thigh. So try not to collapse forward too much, but focus more on pressing the foot into the palm and hold. And release. So shake your legs, shake your shoulders. So go to the other side, open the left palm up and place your ankle on the top of the palm. Bring your knees together. Take your right arm up. So this is your start position, and you're welcome to practice just this position, working on the external rotation of the left shoulder. Otherwise, you have a bit of a soft right knee, and you start pressing the foot into the left palm, not collapsing forward, keeping the right shoulder open as well, creating the arch in the spine, holding. And let's release. Exhale, shake your legs. Let's just have a contour pose for this back bend and have a bit of a passive fold to release, and then very slowly roll up into standing position. Exhale. So let us again find ourselves on the back of your mat. We'll come to one more flow here. When you're ready with inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, folding forward all the way down. Look forward and walk your hands into the plank. Hold the plank. Then step the left foot closer to the midline. Step your right foot forward. Drop the left heel. Walk your hands on the edge of the mat. Lift your torso up. So you're in a warrior two legs with the right knee straight forward. Take your arms parallel to the floor, and then bring your left hand to touch the left thigh and take the right arm overhead. So a little bit of a side stretch here. Continue to press the front knee forward, so right knee is bent, and you are facing with the shoulders to the plane, parallel the left side of the mat. On next exhale, return to the warrior two. Get your shoulders above the hips. Then very light touch with the right elbow to the right thigh, taking the left arm overhead, opening the left side of the body. Then release the left arm down, look down to the floor, drop your left knee for the moment down to the floor and find the block. Place the block under the left shoulder, bring the left palm to the block, and then tuck the left toes again, lift the left knee off the floor. So you are now with the left shoulder above the block, and then you will twist to the right. You can have a right hand on your lower back, rotating the right shoulder back. You can take the right arm up as well, but if your shoulder is really tight, it's much better to have a right hand on the lower back. Press the left heel down, feel some stretch in the right glute. Don't collapse too much on your left hand and block. Use the legs for support. And then unfold. Find your downward dog. Might take you a couple of moves to get into downward dog. As you hold in the downward dog, just try to be equal. We just practice several asymmetric poses. So you might feel more aware of the right side than the left side. We'll just improve that in a moment. When you're ready, step the right foot closer to the midline and step your left foot forward in a long lunge. And then drop the right heel down to the floor. Walk your hands to the edge of the mat and come up into the warrior two legs. So you're facing the other edge of the mat, and we'll take the arms parallel to the floor, right knee 90 degree, bringing the right hand to the right thigh, taking the left arm overhead, opening the side of the body. You can look up toward the ceiling, but in a comfortable way for the neck. Continue to press the front knee forward. On exhale, release, return back into the warrior two, and then lightly touching the left thigh, taking the right arm overhead, creating one straight line from the right heel to the right palm. It's all one line. Again, not collapsing to the left shoulder too much, using the core strength to maintain the angle here. On exhale, release the right arm down, drop the right knee for the moment to pick up the block. It could be any height of the block. Bring the right hand to the block, tuck the toes, lift the right knee off the floor. Adjust the stance if you need, and start rotating the left shoulder up, keeping the right shoulder above the block, bringing the left hand to your lower back. Again, controlling that you're not collapsing to the right arm. To control that, you might have just the tip of the fingers touching the block, using the back leg more. And then unfold and find your downward dog. Exhale. On next exhale, drop the knees down to the floor and come to the child pose in a comfortable position for the arms. Maybe shaking the hips from side to side. And then we'll come into the kneeling position. So I would like today to practice the camel pose with a block between your thighs. So get the block squeezed. That's going to help you to work on the strengthening and engaging the lower abdomen and glutes even more than we usually need. So get yourself into this position and bring the hands to the lower back. And as you have your block between your thighs. Yes, press. So you might not see, but my block is black. So here is my block. Yes, here. And I want you to start squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing the glutes. So you feel how the pelvic floor muscles, all the lower abdomen muscles working. And then bring your hands to the lower back and press the hips a little bit forward and then just lift the chest up. Again, if the head is on the shelf, you feel some stretch. So don't be hinged here, then all the back bend comes into the lower back. You need to push the hips forward, but with a squeeze in the block and engagement of the glutes, you're able to support the lower back and again creating nice arches, like you're stretching this area of the lumbar spine, like you want to press the hips down and lifting the chest away from the hips. And let's rest. Exhale. So without going forward, we'll go to the one arm position, but if it's too intense for you, you're welcome to practice the same. So having the left hand, even let us do something. Let us make a fist with the left hand and just find this bone on the back of your hips and like pressing the fist into the bone, like you want to press the hips down. At the same time, pressing the hips forward. At the same time, squeezing the block and then taking the right arm up. And think more of reaching up rather than collapsing back. And continue to use this fist to press the sacrum down and creating space in the lower back. Opening the chest. And let's exhale. Let's rest and we'll do this other side. So make a fist. Press it into the sacrum. Squeeze the block, open the chest, take the left arm up and go into the back bend. Keeping chest open, so more emphasizing the length up rather than going into collapse on the lower back. And then exhale. So before we're going to go into the relaxation, we'll practice one more pose and you're welcome to just first observe me. We're coming into the line on the floor position. So while we're not using the block, I still want you to think of your knees in a hip distance. So don't take your knees wide. Flex your feet and you should keep your feet flexed all the time, really actively. And then you're reaching to your ankles. So you might be just here with a neutral neck position. Don't lift your chin high. And then you start activating your shins. You're pressing the shins away. And with this, you're pulling the arms and arms are pulling the shoulders off the floor. And you're practicing very, very intense back bend. So go ahead. I will observe you on the floor and give you instructions. So bend your knees, flex your feet before you continue. Yeah, reach to your ankles and then actively flex your feet, actively. And then try to bring your knees parallel. So try not to let your knees, they want to come apart, okay? Now, have a very strong legs. You're working with your legs first of all. Start pressing the shins toward the back and start lifting you off the floor. So press, flex your feet and press, press, press. Use your glutes, use your hamstring. You don't need to lift your head high, yes. And continue to create arch in your back. Try to allow your shins to rotate your shoulders back. Squeeze the shoulder blades, but keep working with your legs. Push, 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 push back. And let's release. So let us have a moment on the belly. Just to rest, bring the forehead down on the palms. Exhale. And then in this position, we will just flip on the back. Just flip on the back, setting the shoulders, head, hips comfortably, and then let's bend the right knee, interlace the hands, and avoiding the rib cage pressure, take your knee toward the right shoulder and extend your left leg. So a little bit of the internal organ compression here today, while definitely we'll feel some release of the lower back after the boat pose. So press it here, a little bit more, little bit more, little bit more, really using all the arm strength to compress. And then release. So extend the right leg, bend your left knee, interlace the hands on the top of the left shin. Avoid the rib cage, so maybe like open the hip and then pull the knee toward the left shoulder. Have your right leg on the floor and start compressing the left side of the body, really using all the strength that you have in the arms. Keep shoulders equally grounded. And release. So let us take the arms in T position. Bring your feet together and open knees apart. A little bit of the inner thigh stretch after the compression that we practiced. Then we'll bring the knees together and toward the chest, and then come into happy baby pose. But in a happy baby pose, I would invite you to control that your table not rolling off the floor. So maintain the neutral spine. If you can't maintain neutral spine with holding your feet, hold your ankles, or even hold your knees, but keep your feet flexed. It's like you're pressing your knees down to the floor with the feet. Maintain neutral spine. Keep shoulders relaxed as well. So you should feel like you're flattering your lower back here. You can slightly massage the lower back by rolling from side to side, but still maintain the neutral spine. A little bit of a release of the lumbar spine from all the backbend we practiced. And then bring the knees together. Keep the thighs toward the chest, and this time take your arms overhead. And just notice how you feel in your thoracic spine. So we manipulated with thoracic spine a lot. See if there's maybe a little bit of the release of the shoulders. Maybe you feel more comfortable to keep your straight elbows with the arms overhead. And mostly you feel, so if in Happy Baby we felt more in the lumbar spine, in here we feel like we're imprinting the thoracic spine down to the floor. And then take your arms in T position and drop the knees to the left, and then go with any position of the legs that feels right for you for this supine twist. Something that is more relaxed than intense, but definitely you can play with position on the top leg to create some intensity of stretch around the glute, around the waist area. Keep your shoulders grounded. So there's two things in this pose that you can work. Is the twist in the lower part or twist in the upper part. The twist in the upper part is more important. So you're not overdoing the twist in the lower back, but more working toward keeping the right shoulder down on the floor. Have here 3 more exhales. And then release your legs. Return first back to the midline. Reset yourself on the midline. And then we'll go to the other side. So bring your knees to your chest. drop the knees to the right, and then just to play with the left leg, turn your head to the left, keeping the left shoulder blade on the floor. And then let's release back to the center. Reset the hips and shoulders to the center. And then let's extend the legs. Taking the arms overhead and then go into Shubananasana. So moving the heels to the left. Maybe crossing the top, a right ankle on the top of the left. Going with the head and shoulders to the left. Maybe holding the right wrist with the left hand. Opening the side of the body. Here we also involving the right shoulder, so again, try your best to keep your right shoulder on the floor. If you're not able to hold the arm overhead, just keep one arm only, left or right, whatever works better for you. So don't tense your shoulders here. Keep your right hip also grounded. Then release the arm first, then bring your head back to the midline, and then bring your legs back to the midline. Reset yourself, and then go with the heels to the right, shoulders and head to the right. You might hold the arms overhead and holding the left wrist, maybe crossing the left ankle on the top of the right leg, and opening the left side of the body. Then release the left wrist, return the head, shoulders on the midline, return hips and feet on the midline. Bend your knees and then reach to the block. We'll practice the elevated bridge, supported bridge. So elevate your hips with a block, just the lower level of the block. Align the edge of the block with the sacrum, and we want to create a little bit of a traction for the lumbar spine. So from all the backbends we practice, we want to get a contour pose in the relaxed way, keeping the arms on the sides of the hips, relax the belly. You might even feel a little bit of the pelvic tilt here, posterior tilt. That's okay, because we want to have a passive stretch, passive traction for the lumbar spine. Try to relax your abdomen here. Shoulders and necks are all aligned in a neutral position. And then you might feel like you need to adjust the block. If you need do so, we're going to lift the legs up and keep the arms on the side. So coming into the supported inversion, usually with a block, it's really easy to hold the legs up. And we'll have this supported shoulder stand for a minute. It's still hot days. It's still really wise to activate the lymphatic system. So see if you want to maybe move your ankles. That's possible. You're still in inversion. Just having a little bit of their joint work before you head to some maybe walking or doing some other activities. And then just release the legs, take the block away, position your pelvis, your shoulders the way that you feel the spine is in neutral. Extend your legs, extend your arms, and practice Shavasana. So today, with the manipulation, with the back bends, you might, and I hope so, you feel more emphasis on the front of the body, feel more comfortable to expose the front of the body, starting with the front of the neck to the universe. And as you hold in your Shavasana, take your breath to the heart, to the throat, to the solar plexus area. Feeling maybe one of those spots in the body really activated, really you feel more flow of energy through this part. Gentle moves will return, and fingers and toes. When you're ready, circle your ankles and wrists. Bend your knees if you feel to move your knees a little bit from side to side. Just stretch the lower back till you're ready to drop the knees to one side and roll all the way to the side. And then with the use of the arm, bring yourself into seated position. Take your time to settle in a cross-leg position, and then just allow yourself to have a bit of a length. Keep shoulders open, and then bring the hands in front of your heart. Press the top of the fingers and base of the palms together, and feeling a little bit of a space between the palms, feeling the warmth between them. Take this positive energy to be your guide through the rest of the day. And if you would like to share the results of your practice on a mental, physical, or emotional level with anyone in your surrounding, please feel free to do so. Namaste.